Welcome everyone. We are going to show you today just a few of the alignment principles that we need to know, especially with the practice every day we do. These are biomechanics. They may not make sense to you at first, but we'll really try to help you with that now. The first thing we like to talk about is the shoulder blade loop. So a lot of us will do this, right? We bring our arms up directly out from the shoulder. And then, with the shoulders remaining down, we draw just the elbows forward. So you're gonna feel from the top of your palate, come down, around and underneath the heart back up. So you're drawing an invisible loop. In doing so, you're going to feel the heart kind of go, oh, move forward. But that's so that that spine, the blades are in a nice neutral spot. So we start with that one. Next thing we do, well, which belongs to our upper body, is our chest and our chin. Okay, we like to keep the sternum lifted. We wear suspenders in the side right here, so we're lifted. But we don't do what, Mike? What do we not do?
No shrugging the shoulders.
No
Keep
shrugging.
the shoulders down. We want to make sure the neck is fairly long. With that, though, we also want to make sure that we're not just trying to stick your head out. Think of actually like having a little string or something, grabbing your hair right on the top of the head, just lifting, and that'll help kind of pull the chin back and up as well.
So you don't
want
have
to
a
be
forward,
sitting like this.
yeah. So you don't have a forward head, and a lot of us are developing that. Why? The cell phone.
Looking down at this, yeah.
The cell phone and all our technology. So starting with the crown of the head going down to those shoulders. Okay, the next thing we do is we have a belly lock. It's called the Uddiyana Bandha. It's about an inch above the navel, or even an inch below, depending on your body. So you'll notice, you draw it in and fly it up. And Uddiyana means to fly up. You'll notice that in your text. That is really important. And also, with doing that Uddiyana Bandha, you're gonna feel the next bandha, which they're called bandhas for a reason, internal locks. We're trying to hold everything together.
It's bonded.
Yeah, so we're all bonded
That
together. And it's, when he draws in his navel, automatically the Mula Bandha comes into place. So you have a pubic bone and a tailbone, and it's the space between the perineum that you'll feel drop inside. Oh my goodness, that is holding things together through the whole center. We tend to drop those, don't we?
Yeah, so I should have worn something other than white because it blends into the background. But if you can see, so we have a tendency oftentimes to relax our belly, which automatically you can see my pelvis tilting. Technically this is considered a forward tilt, but it sticks the butt out in the back, okay? So both of these are losing support in the spine. Can you stand up for a second? So our spine has a bunch of natural curves to it, and when we talk about a neutral spine, this is what we're referring to. And you'll hear us mention this periodically, keep a neutral spine in this. Okay, if you look at the spine, it has various curves, and that is a neutral curve, meaning that that's where it's supposed to be without any kind of pinching or nerve problems and stuff like that. So if we start at the head, here we have the neck curve, which is called the cervical spine, okay? And that one curves this direction, okay? Now, the next natural curve is gonna be the thoracic curve. So this is up here. That's the upper back to kind of a little bit below mid-back. Okay?
And that's the most inflexible part of us.
And this is one that we'll use when we do like what we call back bends. This is really what we're working on. Not like the back bends that you typically see, which are the low back. So we'll work on this one, but this curve, this is this direction, okay? And then that natural curve moves into the low back curve, which is the lordotic spine, or the lumbar spine, okay? So you have that one going this direction. This is the one that a lot of us have the problem of arching too much. We start sticking our butts out, just like Denny. Hers is better because she has a good contrast there with the back, the black and the white. So this is the one that we're trying to reduce whenever we hold our bandhas. So as she pulls in her Uddiyana Bandha, sucking that in, that supports her low back spine, but it also automatically helps to rotate her pelvis to where it's supposed to be. Then the Mula Bandha is at the floor, the base of the pelvis, right there in the middle, dead center through here and dead center through there, okay? And there's muscles in there. They're the perineal muscles. And if you can figure it out after a while, you'll start to understand how to actually engage those muscles. So you're actually thinking of lifting them upward. It's a really interesting feeling once you finally figure it out. Initially, all we're going to tell you to do basically to figure that out is just engage all the musculature around the hips. So glutes, you know, the hip flexors, all of it. Engage it all. I don't want you to be like flexing to the point that you're getting exhausted, but engage it to secure all that spine. So.
Right. And you'll hear words that are very interesting, like, let's do this. Let's do the integration. I'll stay forward and you stay sideways. So we're going to reach forward. We're going to have you protract right out of here, so everybody that knows how to do that. But we're going to ask you, this is the head of the arm bone here, to draw the head of the arm bone into the armpit, arm socket. Okay, that's really a retraction, but we say head of the arm bone in, it's now called integration to us. So what happens here now, while he's pushing and pulling at the same time, he has the double action going on that will hold his arms out there forever. But if you just do the protraction, can't stay there very long. This is really important for the alignment in everything you're going to do. So integration, you do the same thing with the legs, seated. Draw this head of the thigh bone now back into the socket. We'll show you how to do that in a second. So we've just done the Mula Bandha, the Uddiyana Bandha, the shoulder blade loop. Well, the tailbone loop is just like the Mula Bandha, really. Yeah. So Mike showed that. Okay, so tailbone loop would be the same thing. I'll be your little backdrop because I am black. And you're going to tuck it under, but...
So we don't want to exaggerate.
Right, you don't want to do a...
Not a pelvic thrust.
No, nothing like that. But you point the tailbone down. Even though it might not really be doing that.
That's exaggerated, and then we'll tuck it in just a
Yes. So you're going to feel, okay, point your tailbone downward, and then you're going to feel it all come together in a called the tailbone loop. So it comes down, around, and up. There's that loop, invisible loop, okay? So then we have the contraction, the static contractions through our whole body. So our quads are contracting. If we're working and having the hamstring stretching, okay, the other side has to be strengthening. We want you to focus on the strength side, because if you're forced to do anything, I don't know about you, I immediately resist.
Push back.
Okay, I'm stubborn, I guess, and I think we're all stubborn.
Yeah.
And so what we want you to learn is how to just let the stretch occur on its own, but pay attention to the strength. Okay, then they'll say, okay, I trust you. I trust you, Mike, you're letting my hamstrings go. So now they'll start to give. You won't get tighter, you'll get longer and more fluid. So you see that? Yeah, so we just got the static contraction. We do want to do some breathing now with you, which that is the priority of all of yoga. So we're going to take a seat. Okay, so I'm going to teach how my students learn it, and then Mike can teach how his students have learned it, and see if you can glean anything that will help you understand. Right, now the sound of the breath sounds like Darth Vader, sounds like when you're up in the mountains skiing and you hear all that air rushing by, or maybe a seashell. You have lots of different visuals that you can use. Now this one, you drop the tongue behind the teeth, the lower teeth, okay? And then you're gonna scoop out the tongue, and then you feel it kind of go up in the back of the throat. This is going to be the exhale. Easiest one is the exhale, believe you me. So you draw that down, scoop it, create space up here in the upper cavity of your mouth, okay? And then pretend like you're whispering, because it's really whisper muscles. You'll feel that contraction back here. Now we learn with our mouth open first in my class, because they can hear it, they can see it. So let's try that first. Let's just work on the exhale. Take a deep breath in, and then exhale with your mouth open. You'll notice that with the mouth open, the jaw can relax, And the tongue is right where it needs to be. Inhale again. The jaw relaxes, your face relaxes, and then your body is going to fill with oxygen, and you're going to feed and nourish your body and be able to do the poses. So that's the exhale. Now with the exhale, we don't rise up. We don't do anything with our body. It stays perfectly calm. It's in a calm position with all the alignment principles happening at the same time. Don't forget that. We tend to let it go. Now on the inhale, Mike, how do you teach your inhale?
Well, here's the thing with an inhale. The main thing that I emphasize more than anything is proper breathing. And Danny touched on it, talking about how we don't move anything really. So your shoulders aren't moving. Your chest really isn't moving much either. It's not expanding either. So the inhale as she goes through, so she's inhaling, once again, we typically inhale through the nose. Okay, and then if you choose to, you can exhale through the mouth. As it goes in, the back of the throat, called the pharynx, is actually, I kind of like to visualize the air kind of rolling around in the back of the throat before it actually goes down. That allows it to actually heat up before it enters the lungs, which allows the body to move or function a little bit more efficiently. This is one of the reasons why breathing is one of the most important aspects of yoga, because how they're always emphasizing you need to warm up the body. Well, guess what? Proper breathing will warm up the body. You may have seen videos online of yogis breathing in ice cold water and their temperature is normal, okay? Proper breathing can heat up the body by itself without any action other than that. Now, proper breathing, what we're really using is we're using the diaphragm. So the diaphragm is located right at the base of the ribs. It's a big muscle underneath there. So when we inhale, the diaphragm will actually be expanding. So the chest doesn't. These are accessory muscles that allow us to breathe when we're got done sprinting or whatever, okay? But down here is where we should be breathing. This is how we breathed when we were babies, and somewhere along the line we forgot about it. So Denny is kind of showing you a way that you can test to see if you're breathing properly. So she's placed her hands right at the base of her ribs, expanding around, and she can feel that expanding her fingers. So as she's holding it, her hands will expand more as she inhales. So notice I said when she inhales, because the diaphragm is pulling downward, expanding the stomach area. Singers are really, really good at this because they've been properly trained.
Oh, by the way, we're singers.
Yeah, we're singers. And so if they've been properly trained, then they already know to use the diaphragm for breathing, not the chest or shoulders. Dancers, I will say, because we're both dancers as well, are taught the other way around. Because you're supposed to keep this solid instead. But for yoga, we're doing it properly, so we're using the diaphragm. So just, if you want to test it out, you can place your hands there and then just feel the expansion of the belly as it opens and closes as you inhale and exhale. Anything else you want to add to that?
Right, and those are the basic things you're going to need to do every single pose. Every single one. Bandhas, breath, static contraction. It's all for heat, and we need heat.
And on that note, she mentioned bandhas. A lot of you guys are going to be thinking, well, if I'm sucking my Uddiyana bandha in, how do I expand the belly?
Oh, so yes.
That's a good question, and it is challenging and something you have to get used to. So what you're doing is think of your belly button for your bandha. So your bandha sucks in and up, back against the backbone, okay, as it's in there. That's solid. This lower portion doesn't really move and expand, but this upper portion, that's the part that expands, opens, closes.
It's like coordinating. It's like doing this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You will get used to it. It will come. That's a good point to remember. So there's 5 things that keep the heat up in our practice, you guys. It's the bandhas. It's the static contractions. It's the breath. Drishti, the gaze point. Now Mike's going to gaze for you. And what he's going to do, he's not going to stare. If he stares, is step out of your body. I'm sorry, but you just leave your body. So you have to keep it at a gaze. Keep it a gentle gaze, looking at a spot. And one that's not plain, like this white wall back here would not be a good gaze point. So we would say look up at the ceiling or at the frame, whatever you
or the
see,
tripod,
or
which
the
is what I'm
tripod,
using
just
right now.
anything that you might have that you can focus in on. That's for heat. But then the last one that's all important is our vinyasa. And that vinyasa, we use sun salutation A or B, whatever, or just a moving type of thing where you do an inhale and an exhale move, exhale move. Those are vinyasas. It's an uninterrupted flow tied to the empowering breath. Those 5 things will keep you hot. If you let any of those things go, you will notice your temperature drop. Gotta get it back up, you guys, because that's when we see the results. The tendons, ligaments, the muscles will start to release. We hope you enjoy learning with us. Thanks, you guys.